ॐ कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय हरये परमात्मने प्रणतक्लेशनाशाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। In this session, we are taking up the last verse of this 9th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Geetā. After discussing the portion where first Sri Krishna said, anybody who has so far not lived rightly, anybody who had been into bad conduct, wrong ways, and so on, can be transformed, will be transformed by resorting to devotion to the Lord. After that, he said, referring to the social conditions where there is disparity, he referred to sections which are disadvantaged and said even these disadvantaged sections of the society can completely rise above all their limitations through devotion to God. And in the 33rd verse, which also we saw, he said what to talk about the privileged sections in the society. As I interpreted it and went a little elaborately upon it, all over the world there are various kinds of disparities, and some inequalities and disparities are not talked about. Political lobbies, vested interests do not want anybody to talk about the inequalities in those countries or in those communities and so on. And they then make a big issue of disparities in some other community. So all this politics is very dangerous. There used to be a saying, if a poor man eats some soil from the ground, people will comment, look at this poor man, he has nothing to eat. He is eating soil. If a rich man, suppose, picks up a little soil and eats, then the people will say, look at that rich man, he is eating this soil, and maybe that soil has some medicinal qualities. That sums up a whole lot of the political battles going on even today in the world. I need not go on a political commentary on this, but look inside and ask yourself, is there in any part of the world true equality? True equality. That's not humankind's way. Wherever you go, mankind in no time makes various divisions, either openly or behind your back. In some places, it is honored and legitimized by the governments themselves. For example, a large number of countries have been openly declared as Islamic countries. Islamic countries with Sharia law and so on. Somebody once was disturbed where the Mailapur Shiva temple in Chennai had a board, only Hindus allowed. Then another person said, do you know, in Saudi Arabia, the whole city of Mecca has only Muslims allowed, not just the Kaaba. There are a lot of these inequalities, a lot of these questionable norms and rules. If you wish to take them, you must take all of them in all countries, in all communities. Otherwise, you will break into pieces and somebody will take advantage of your lack of unity, your lack of mutual understanding. Finally, in no way we are justifying inequalities. Inequalities everywhere have to be removed. As Swami Vivekananda had said, potentially all are equal and the opportunities given should be given to all. So the 33rd verse said, Brahmanaha Punyaha. We have interpreted this already going by the broad-minded outlooks of Pujya Swami, Chinmayananji and others, Vivekananda. Those people in any society, in the West or the East, those people who, for whatever reason, have sattvic temperament, those people called Rajarshaya here, who have certain bravery in them, certain straightforwardness, certain courage, and who by nature get down into issues of justice and injustice and they fight for justice. They are Rajarshaya, Kshatriyas. And referring to such people whose baggage is so less, whose antakharana is already very evolved. In every society there are. Among whites there are Brahmanas. Among blacks there are Brahmanas. Among Hispanics there are Brahmanas. There are Brahmanas in Africans, in Australians, everywhere. A certain section of the society is endowed with broad-mindedness. Sattvic means that balanced temperament, concern for others' well-being, and so on. So, if anyone is of that kind and anyone is the Rajarshi kind, there is no need to say. They will go very fast towards life's ultimate goal, namely moksha. And the summary of both the verses, therefore, is go for devotion to God. Sri Krishna himself says in the second half of the sloka 33, Anityam asukham lokam imam prapya. When you look around and deeply examine life, there is so much of sorrow, so much of impermanence. That is what this loka is. Having understood that if I just go the way I have always gone, if I repeat what I always did, I will only sink into more misery. I must shift, I must change my direction. What is that? Bhajasvama. Be devoted to God. Adi Shankara thus comments upon this 33rd verse. Kincha mam hi yasmat partha vyapashritya mam ashrayatvena grihitva, taking me as their shelter, taking God as their shelter. No more the passing pleasures of the world. Yepi syuhu, whoever there be, bhaveyuhu, papayonayaha. Oh, yes. Oh, that was 32, and my commentary here is below 33. Yeah, there are two separate paragraphs in my book. Kim punar brahmana punyah punyayoneha bhaktaha rajarshayastata. Bhaktaha, the word can go both with brahmanaha appearing before it and rajarshayaha appearing after the word bhaktaha. Those devoted to God, having or enjoying a more balanced temperament, nobler values, hardly any laziness, hardly any insensitive tendencies in them. They are Brahmana and Rajarshaya. Rajanascha te Rishayascha iti Rajarshaya. Kings or the king's category, Kshatriyas and Rishaya, they are deeply into spirituality. Spirituality is for all. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Purushaha, Striyaha. Everybody can and should go for spirituality. Rajarshayaha are those who are, by one classification, Kshatriyas, and by another form of classification, spiritual aspirants, advanced spiritual practitioners. Yataha evam, this being the case, anityam kshanabhanguram, in a moment, things perish. Every day we read in the newspapers, in the media, such changes. There was a distinguished yoga teacher from Mysuru. Last month he was touring USA, holding yoga camps, attending seminars and conferences on yoga. He was to return this month, I guess. He was only 52, a distinguished yoga teacher whose father also was very distinguished, had set up a wonderful, much sought after yoga school in Mysore near Bangalore. And this was the son who was touring, just 52 years old. One morning, they found him dead, I guess in New York or somewhere. Anityam. All the dreams of his own or his followers, his fans, were shattered. How long do we live? Life itself is not certain. Death may visit us any time. This being the case, Purushartha sadhanam durlabham manushyatvam labdva. After Asu comes, there is also Sukha Varjitam, then Manushya Lokam Prapya. Manushya Loka, that is, once you are born as human beings, you are in Manushya Loka. That is the context. Otherwise, this earth is Manushya Loka, but if somebody is born in animal or bird form, they don't have access to so much of spiritual education, which is available to us. Durlabham manushyatvam labdva bhajasvama sevasvama. This itself, bhajasvamam, is now elaborated. Worship me, adore me, fix your mind in me, fix your heart in me. That's given in the last verse of this chapter. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi yuktvaivam atmanam matparayanaha. This is the summary of so many verses that came before, especially summary in the sense of action point. All right, we understand. What are we to do now? What we are to do? Simple. We must put our mind, the emotional mind, at the feet of the Lord. We must be devoted, mad bhaktaha, madhyaji, we must worship him, kayena vacha manasa, by body, by speech, and by mind. Mam namaskuru. Sri Krishna doesn't mince words. In no uncertain terms, he says, bow down, salute me. This is no egoistic statement. When Sri Krishna says this, he is expressing a universal truth. And he himself is not Vasudeva's son in that limited form here. That's a manifestation. He here is the supreme divine principle in every one of us. We must opt for our divine dimension, and we must let go of our earthly, worldly aspect of the personality. Mam namaskuru. Mameva eshyasi becomes mame vaishyasi yuktva evam yuktva. Thus uniting yourself with God. So it's all in the mind. The mind binds us, the mind sets us free. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoho bandhaya vishayasaktam muktam nirvishayam smritam. The moment you make your mind free of craving for sense pleasures, you will rise higher and higher. Mameva eshyas. When the mind has risen so high that its craving, its longing for the worldly pleasures become almost zero, when whether you like it or not, you will experience your own being, your own existence as of an entirely different kind. That joy is hard to describe, say all the saints. The peace that passeth all understanding is an expression in the Christian religion. The peace that passeth all understanding, indescribable, hard to understand. Atmanam yuktva, thus bringing yourself together. Today you are shattered, you are split, you are broken into pieces. You don't realize it generally. And every time some adversity happens, you realize, I must now be careful. Here onward, I should be very careful. But next day, like the curved tail of the dog, you begin again all your previous mistakes. Sri Krishna uses several words. Any one of those words is enough to give us the right direction. He says at the end of this very chapter, Mat Parayana. This is once more a Bahuvrihi Samasa. Mat means I. Sri Krishna is speaking. So when he says I, we understand. Sri Krishna is meant. Sri Krishna, talking of his own divine nature, says that divine nature which is in everyone, but we do not know, he knows it. That divine nature has to become para ayana, the supreme goal. What do you want? Even if someone were to wake you up at midnight, at 2 a.m., and ask, what is it you want really in life? You must say, I want union with my divine nature. I want to say goodbye to my obsession with the body, with the physical pleasures, going on satisfying the body, backed by corresponding emotions. When you see a jalebi, Mouth waters, that is part of the body, the physical side. The mind says, yes, 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 that is exactly what I need now. And even the buddhi, the intellect says, true, it's a long time since you ate jalebi. I think last Wednesday you had eaten. One whole week has passed. True. One whole week. You ask some diabetics, do you eat sweets? Not much really, not. What, once in 6 months? No, once a day only. After dinner, I need to have a sweet. An old man said to me, I need a sweet after dinners, not at the other time. So every night after dinner, I put a sweet into my mouth. My wife knows. He showed his wife and pointed to her. She knows. You ask her. That's all. Once a day. What is this? The doctor said don't take even a small piece. So that is the present predicament. Rise above it, become matparayana, God centered. Here we have a short commentary again by Sri Shankaracharya. How are we to turn towards God? Bhajaswamam was said in the 33rd verse. Anityam asukam lokam imam prapya bhajaswamam. Recognizing the tons of pain that come following ounces of pleasure. Today in India there is a great alarm raised by everybody concerned with society, and that alarm is the menace called drugs. Punjab, Tamil Nadu, big cities like Mumbai, drugs are available. Even the police sometimes close their eyes. Government doesn't want to do much. Terrible. Mothers are crying. A short video came yesterday of a mother who happened to be Muslim or Hindu, Christian or doesn't matter. But that video was a Muslim woman crying. When I opened that 1 minute video, I thought she is crying about some communal riots or maybe her husband did talak, talak, talak and walked away, though as per law he cannot do that, but he walked away and whatever. No, this Muslim mother is crying. Both her children are into drugs. She shows a certain injection. She cannot even pronounce the word injection. Poor woman. Inaction, inaction. This inaction, she is calls it something, but she is holding that injection. And she gives a number of spots, number of areas or places in Mumbai. It's available at all these places. I know where these boys go and take this, get this. There's a big racket. And when these boys or girls take a little of that substance, heavenly happiness. But after a little while, that is all gone. They find themselves in the ditch. They go into depression. They have lost their motivation. They have lost their interest in any worthy work that they could do. Anything you place before them, they say, I will do it another day, and so on. Never available for work, for pursuing tasks that were defined, but longing for where can I get that injection? Where can I get that shot? Oh, I can't live. They feel like committing suicide because of their dependence on these artificial pleasures. So many addictions surround us. We should not fall for them. So it is said, anityam, asukam. And Shankaracharya says, bhajasva, worship me. How do we worship God? Mai vasudeve manaha yasya tava sattvam manmanaha. These are called bahuvrihi samasas. Somebody whose mind is into God. Madbhaktaha, totally devoted to God. Madhyaji, yajana. Yajna, yajana all mean worshipping. Worship me. Sri Krishna says, worship God. You must have sincere longing for God. Masters like Sri Ramakrishna highlighted Bhakti Yoga. They said, develop a longing for God. That is the only way you can save yourself from continued misery. You think the world has caused misery. Somebody says, my wife has made my life miserable. Another lady says, my husband ruined my life. Or both husband and wife may blame children. These children have made our life a hell, they say. It's not husband, it's not wife, it's not children. From a spiritual point of view, it is your weak-mindedness. Strengthen your mind by practice. Turn your mind towards God. For that, kayena vacha manasa. With your hands, worship God. With your speech, sing the glories of God. With your mind, contemplate, think of God. If you do so, Mameva namaskuru, that's the last part in the first line. Then Mameva manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Mame vaishyasi is there in the shloka. Mameva ishwaram eshyasi agamishyasi. Yuktva samadhaya chittam. Yuktva, one translation is uniting, putting yourself together. Don't stay broken. Put yourself together. Sri Shankaracharya gives another meaning, which are related after all, which come to the same thing. Samadhaya chittam. Your mind says, get me this, get me that, I must have this now, I must have that now. But do samadhana. Calm that mind. Through regular practice, the mind can be calmed, mind can be made steady. Samadhaya chittam atmanam mam. Mamai vaishyasi yuktva atmanam matparayana. So the atmanam, somebody might interpret, the devotee has to calm himself. But someone say Atma, after all, the highest sense, Atma is God. Therefore, Sri Krishna is the Atma of all. So either way, Mam, Ishwaram, Atmanam means Mam. For as the Atma everywhere, Sri Shankaracharya explains, Ahami Sarvesham Bhutanam Atma. I am the self in all. Therefore, to move towards the one self of all, these forms of submission are necessary. Aham hi sarvesham bhutaman atma parachagati. I am their ultimate destination. Finally, at the end of their total evolution, they reach a certain truth, and that is Sri Krishna himself. Param ayanam. Ayana is going, a journey. Rama's ayanam was Ramayana. Ayana is going. When the sun goes towards north, it is Uttarayana, Uttarayana. When the sun goes towards the south, from the point of view of the earth, it is Dakshina Ayana, Dakshinayana. So when your mind goes only towards God, that is Parayana, you have become Deva Parayana, Krishna Parayana. Mam evam bhutam eshyasi iti atitena sambandha. So it is said, you reach me and me only. The word Atmanam came in between. Mameva eshyasi yuktva evam Atmanam. Some people may join yuktva to Atmanam, but you may also take it with yuktva eshyasi. Put the word eshyasi after that. Tam mam evam bhutam eshyasi iti atitena sambandha. Take the previous words, connect them here. Take the words that follow, connect them here. In some shlokas, many times that is the scenario. There is a word which connects to several other words of the shloka, bringing out different meanings. Matparayana, san, ityartha. In this way, Raja Vidya, Raja Guhya Yoga Nama, Navamodhyaya Samaptaha. The great topic, yoga means topic when it is in the title of each of the chapters of Gita. This topic of the king among secrets, the king among knowledges, Vidyanam Raja, Guhyanam Raja Cha. This is to be studied. It has a lot of guidance, especially with respect to bhakti. In the first part, there are a few verses showing the deepest knowledge of the Brahma Tattva also. So Jnana and Bhakti are in fact main teachings of the Gita. Karma comes next, Bhakti, Jnana and Karma. And a little sprinkling of Raja Yoga can be found in the Gita. In the fourth chapter, those who practice Patanjali's yoga every day are referred to as Yoga Yajnaha. Yoga eva yajnaha yesham. Te yoga yajnaha. Thus, the Raja Vidya, Raja Guhya. Guhyanam Raja, of all secrets, this is the greatest, this is the best. This Navamahadhyaya Samapta. So with this shloka, 9 chapters have gone behind. There are 9 chapters laid out before us. As we have said a couple of times, that's one more reason why the last verse of the 9th chapter can be treated as the central teaching. Because behind that 34th shloka of 9th chapter, there are 9 chapters of the Gita. After that shloka, there are the remaining 9 chapters. Therefore, this 9.34 is like the central verse, not in terms of number of shlokas after, number of shlokas before. That doesn't add up that way. But number of chapters before it, number of chapters after that. Thus, Navamahadhyaya Samaptaha. We close here. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.